What is going on, everyone? It is Tal, and I'm bringing you our Week 3 Team Builder as we face off against the Lil G, Greninja, and Canelo. So after a pretty big win last week, off the back of Blastoise and Tanky Blastoise, if that, we go into this battle against Canelo. We are 2-0, and yeah, so very interesting matchup here. Has some really, really strong attackers in that Champao, Thundurus, Greninja, Salamence, and also the Hydrapple, which could be really bulky as well, that Thick Fat and that Vessel of Ruin. Chimpao can run that Magic Guard so that it doesn't take damage from stuff like rocks, but it also has adaptability, so stuff like Icicle Crash, Ice Shard, Crunch, Throat Chop, Sucker Punch do a ton of damage. So that's something that's going to be of note throughout this battle. Thunderous Eye has the Drizzle and the No Guard making it so he cannot miss any of his attacks, and the Drizzle also making it like Thundurus can hit its Thunders 100% of the time. Greninja has the Dark Aura to boost up its moves like the Dark Pulse, but also has the Primordial Sea, which can be used to stop some of our water type attacks, and then, our fire type attacks, and then boost up its own water type attacks, which could be of note here. Skarmory is one of the biggest threats into our team, especially the Volt Absorb. Because of Zapdos and our Chaladon, Skarmory can kind of sit on them because we don't have great damage into the Skarm outside of those, because our main forms of attack would be Dragon, Steel, and Flying. Heat Wave from Zapdos could put in some work against the Skarmory, but it's a tough bring as well for Qianpao and Thundurus. Galarian Slowking is also a pretty big issue. Not really its abilities. Corrosion could be a little bit of an issue into our team. As well as Earth Eater if we want to bring like Landorus Incarnate with like an Earth Power and whatnot. Just want to jump into something real quick. Completely forgot. I did make a change this week. You will notice at the bottom left of your screen, we did swap out Cresselia for Okidoki. Okidoki is something I've wanted from the entire draft. I wanted it actually before I wanted Landorus or really anything. It was probably a mod I was going to go pretty early in the draft, and it got taken from me, but it got dropped. And so I picked it up, I dropped Cresselia. I didn't really see a great matchup for Cresselia, and I felt like Screamtail could kind of do its job just a little bit better. We still do have Muck, but it makes it so I can run Okidoki maybe a little bit more offensively, Muck a little bit more defensively when we want to bring it. So just something of note, but yeah, we do have the Okidoki that is available this week if we decide to bring it. But jumping back into their team, they do have a Salamence with Swift Swim and Aerialite. They don't have a Drizzlemon, so in case we do bring Zapdos or our Chaladon with Primordial Sea or Drizzle, he does have that Swift Swim ability, but if he does bring it, I would expect more of the Aerialite, especially because we now have the Okidoki and would give him more damage into that. Garganagel is actually a pretty big threat into our team, kind of stops Blastoise with that Water Absorb or Zapdos with our Weather Ball, but Fluffy is probably the biggest thing, can stop physical damage from mons like our Hisuian Arcanine, or Landorus, or Okidoki, or Muck, or Cacturne, etc. Hydrapple is also a pretty scary threat if we wanted to bring big fire damage into his team. With the Arcanine, it can kind of tank it with with the Thick Fat, and Vessel of Ruin kind of soak up a lot of those hits from our special attackers. Last three, Cyclizar with that Dragon's Maw Draco Meteor could be really, really strong. Don't really see the Delta Stream coming, but it could come in an instance where he's really trying to get rid of our Primordial Sea, and he doesn't have the Desolate Land on any of his mons. That's just something of note. A Cyclizar could put in some damage, makes it a little bit harder for me to put up hazards, just because of that Rapid Spin, but also could be like Specs Draco, which is pretty good into our team outside of Screamtail and maybe the Registeel. Houndstone is next, got the Regenerator ability if he wants to switch in and out, be kind of a bulky ghost type, could be a little bit of a pain for some of our mons, but I don't really expect it too much. And last mon, another mon I don't really expect too much, is the Pikachu, the Transistor, and the Refrigerate. Refrigerate could be a little bit of a pain with our Landorus and our Zapdos, but again, I don't think it's the best into this matchup. So going into this matchup, there's one mon that, like, I don't even know, a week or two ago I was looking at, like, oh my god, it is so good in this matchup, and it was always the first bring no matter what. It is our Screamtail. We are running a Scarf set with max special attack, Modest with that Pixelate, and that Boom Burst. The reason we are 52 speed and Scarf, we outspeed a max speed Chien Pao if he does decide to bring that. Didn't really want to go timid and have to outspeed a like +1 Salamence, so I decided max speed Chien Pao and put a lot into HP, so we can still take hits. Screamtail is still Screamtail. It still does so much on the defensive end. So we are Boom Burst and Flamethrower as our means of offense. Flamethrower is basically there just for the Skarmory. I don't really see any other need. And Baton Pass is there if we want to get some pivot, if we think he may bring in the Slowking or the Skarmory, and we kind of just want to, get an upper hand. Trick is there if it's like kind of a last-ditch effort. Don't really see myself clicking it, but again, into the Slowking and the Skarmory, which are going to be the two answers into our Screamtail, I see them both coming into this matchup specifically because Screamtail is such a threat, and he has, what is it? I think 2 dark types and 3 dragon types. So Fairy is super good in his team. This mod is super good into his team, and I have to bring it. It's really strong. Max special attack Modest is absolutely insane. Next one we were bringing is going to be the debut of Hisuian Arcanine. Really wanted to bring the Refrigerate into this matchup. I thought the Refrigerate was really good because he does have mons like Salamence and Thundy and the Hydrapple and the Cyclizar, but after doing some mocks and realizing I kind of needed the Magic Guard just to hit hard with Head Smash and Flare Blitz, I decided to switch into that. We are a ton of speed here, enough speed to outspeed a max speed Chien Pao again, something that I don't really expect him to bring. I do expect the Chien Pao, but max speed I don't really expect. But just in case, we had the close combat specifically there for the Garganacl. Head Smash, though, is what we're probably going to be spamming most of the time. Flare Blitz as well for some of those mons like the Skarmory, which I still think will be running the Voltibzord, just because I don't think Arcanine is as big of a threat into a Skarmory as the Archaludon and the Zapdos. Head Smash is going to be huge. We are max attack adamant here, a little bit into the defensives and then the rest in HP, and then we're the Magic Guard so that we do not take any damage from rocks, from Head Smash, from Flare Blitz, which would be really, really nice. I'm really excited to try out this mon. It's been a few weeks and I really wanted to bring it in every matchup, but it just hasn't really sat well. A big threat into this though is the Greninja if he brings it in and has that Water Shuriken, but in that case I'll just switch out into one of our other mons. Third mon we are bringing is the debut of Offensive Blastoise. I think it's the first time that we're switching up any abilities on any mon this week. And yeah, we were running kind of the same abilities on every mon, and I think besides like Drizzle No Guard on Zapdos week 1 and 2, I think this is the first the major switch from defensive to offensive, and it's kind of the reason I picked up Blastoise. It could be really defensive with Regenerator, but then be really offensive with that Beads of Ruin. Running Shell Smash, we have enough speed to outspeed a +1 Salamence. Shell Smash, Surf, Ice Beam, and Dark Pulse hits his whole team for super effective or neutral damage. So Dark Pulse is almost specifically there for the Galarian Slowking, or if we're in a situation where we cannot kill one of his mons, then we can go for a flinch in a dire situation. A little bit in the HP, but max special attack Modest with that Beads of Ruin and that White Herb. Both just Shell Smash, if I can get this off in the right time, if he doesn't have Garganacl or just something that, can hit us with big priority like the Chien Pao with adaptability, this is going to go off and clean up his team. So something I'm really excited for is Offensive Blastoise with Beads of Ruin, just going to hit like a truck. Third mon is this almost the same exact set that we have brought every week. I think we've just changed up the EVs on the defense and special defense due to some calcs, but yeah, Umbreon, Toxic Wish, Baton Pass, Foul Play with the Rocky Helmet, really good into Chien Pao, into Salamence, Garg. I'm someone who advocated for Umbreon to be more points before the draft, and we got it up from, I think, 9 to 10, and even then, I think this mon is just so bulky on its own, but you give it the Fluffy ability, and it's an absolute tank. He doesn't have any Fire-type attacks into us, so that is something of note. So Umbreon is just going to be there to take a hit from something like the Salamence or the Skarm, and dish out a Toxic or a Baton Pass, and just kind of sit on his team. It's a really bulky mon, really reliable. It's been reliable the past 2 weeks, and I don't see why it wouldn't be this week. Second to last mon is going to be our Landorus with another ability swap here, running enough speed to outspeed a max speed Salamence here, so just a little bit under the max 252 with a little bit of special attack and special defense. Running the Desolate Land so that we can get big Weather Balls into the Skarmory, can maybe throw him off a little bit. Stealth Rock, U-turn, and Taunt. Taunt is for something like the Galarian Slowking or the Skarmory, so can't get hazards up. U-turn for Pivot, and also Stealth Rock because he doesn't have a great mode of getting rid of hazards outside of the Cyclizar. If he doesn't bring Cyclizar, then he's kind of in a weird spot. So I think that this most likely will be our lead, depending on what he really is, what his team looks like. But I think Landers could be our lead. Get a Stealth Rock or a U-turn up. A ton of speed running leftovers, a ton of bulk as well. I think the Weather Ball may catch him off just a little bit, may make him want to switch into Greninja, but then we can get a big, powerful U-turn off. And even though we're minus attack, we still have base 128 attack, 125 attack, excuse me, so I'm not too worried about that. The final one this week is going to be our Okie Dokie. I know I just picked it up, but I picked it up and then I looked at the next matchup and I went, wow, this mod is really, really good. Max attack adamant with max special defense. We also have the Sword of Ruin ability. Our two abilities are Sword of Ruin and Unaware. I think Sword of Ruin is just really good. So we're running a ton of attack, running the Assault Vest and special defense. We can take some really big hits from his special attackers in Hydrapple and Cyclizar. And even if he wants to run like a special Lander or Thunderous or Greninja, Greninja Hydro Pumps aren't going to do enough, and then we can get a Drain Punch off. So the whole point of this mon is to take a special hit and then kill with one of our moves. Ice Punch for that Thundy, for the Salamence, for the Hydrapple, Drain Punch for the Chanpao Greninja, Garganacl, Cyclizar, and then, yeah, Gunk Shot hits really hard into a lot of things, and that knockoff is specifically there for the Galarian Slowking and the Houndstone. So that is going to be the team for this week. Really excited for the debut of Okie Dokie. It's so funny. I really tried to make Crest work in a lot of these matchups, and it didn't. And then right when I switch into Okie Dokie, I bring it the first week. So not bringing our two top picks, but I just didn't feel like they were the best into this matchup, especially with a Chien-Pao that could hit really, really hard. So that is going to be the team for this week. Some debuts coming out here, some ability debuts coming out here, and then, you know, some of the same old with Umbreon and that Screamtail. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments, and yeah, I'll see y'all in the battle tomorrow. Peace out, everybody.